What's up, Lisa?
What's up? What's happening, Gavin?
Good. It's all good, Lisa. And we've kind of like not been able really to get an answer on the surname, so we're just gonna go for Go.
Yeah.
Lisa Goe.
Last name is Go, to
Like
go.
you're always on the go.
I'm always on the go. I had a radio show called Get Up and Go with Lisa Goe in the morning, so I think that's
How
where
early
we're
was
at.
that?
I mean, it was college, so I actually had to wake up
So
pretty
it was like
early.
afternoon. Oh, was it early?
No, it was early. I had a morning show, Get Up and Go with Lisa Goe in the morning.
I probably never woke up early, ever in my life. Probably.
I think it aired
probably
at like
9 is like
7.
9 is like I don't even know what 7 tastes like. My
Did
mouth
you grow up
my mouth
by
hasn't
an
been
ocean?
open. My mouth hasn't been open tasting the air at 7 a.m. I refuse.
Your whole life?
It's ungodly.
Your whole life?
Pretty much,
Wow.
yeah. Maybe actually, I just told a lie because I was born at 7:15.
Oh.
So, but it has been a
What
while.
about school?
No, I always turned up like halfway through the day. I just said no, fuck y'all.
Yeah,
So-
not me. Right.
So the alley riser, Lisa Goe. So let's dive into what got you cracking and where you're at.
Got me
give
cracking.
us the kind of
Yeah, what's a good
just give us the 411 on like how and who and where.
Who, what, when, where?
Yeah.
Well, my name is Lisa Goe, and I'm originally from a town called Santa Barbara in California, and I also grew up in Santa Monica, which is in Los Angeles. So my dad was a studio musician for Capitol doing drums, decided he didn't like LA, moved to Santa Barbara. He's a general contractor now. I always start with my family because I think they're really important.
It's a good place to start.
Dad's my best friend. He's awesome. He's definitely like most dads out there who've been in the industry for a little while who are like, oh, I know everything. But he has taught me a great amount. Because
So,
obviously
super
music,
supportive.
yes, very supportive. I mean, and he's a dad. There's been times where it's like, you need to get a 401k and yada yada. But at the end of the day, I'm happiest most doing music all the time. So how I got to do music all the time, I didn't know that it was really a job. I didn't know songwriting. I'm primarily a songwriter.
Were they even were people studying it at university when you started? They weren't when
Kind
I
of,
started.
kind of not really. I did take a songwriting class.
Okay.
That definitely helped a lot. I mean,
Okay.
I think I was spoiled with an incredible teacher,
Yeah.
professor, however you say it. But like, yeah, I mean, I was very lucky, and he's helped a lot of bands and songwriters blow up. Actually, to be honest, I was in a class.
name drop 'em then.
Yeah,
Name
we're
drop
gonna.
this
You know why
legend.
not? Because I'm sure there are listeners who are like in school right now and feeling like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So we were just kids who had to take an elective, and we liked music, so we took a songwriting class. But my friend Tim Lopez was in a class with me, and he's now one of the main writers and singers of the Plain White Tees.
Oh, cool.
And my other friend who I grew up with is a girl named Katie Hudson, who is now Katy Perry.
Yeah, Kate Hudson sounded familiar,
Yeah.
but definitely Kate Perry's more familiar.
Yeah, just
You
a
know.
little bit, you know, just a little bit. But all to say, like, again, it wasn't about who they were. That I mean, we were all friends. That's all we were, and we all got to learn in this class. And there was another
So who
guy
was the
named
who
Matt.
was the,
who was in
tutor?
Typical. The tour.
Who was the
Okay,
the
this is what's going to
professor?
be awful because right now in this moment,
I remember his name. He's
I'm
responsible
so
for these amazing
embarrassed. I'm
songwriters.
so embarrassed because when I was saying this, I was like, oh God.
Remember his name.
I mean, I haven't been in college. Haven't been in that class for maybe 20.
Dude, I've got relatives.
years.
I've got relatives who I can't remember their name.
It's hurting my
So-
soul though, because he's an amazing Santa Barbara City College songwriting class. He's still doing it, and he lives
Google
right
him,
behind
you know?
it.
Google him.
I feel awful. I might have to Google it, and you might need to like note it because he's going
It'll
to.
be up on the screen.
He's
Yeah.
going to kill me. Okay, good. Anyhow, so I growing up in Santa Barbara, it's a very entrepreneur place. My parents are both entrepreneurs, so it definitely gave me that idea of, you know, you can go to uni and you can do all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, whatever makes you happy, like, you can be your own boss. Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
they're not back to taking risks.
Right,
Yeah.
right, totally. My mom had a very like 9-to-5 job. My dad ran his own company, so you know they can't really say anything to me.
Yeah.
So you know, all through that, I did meet Katie as a young person and Tim, and those were two of my really close friends. And Made a bunch of other friends in the process, but it was just like I think it was very unique because, again, these were just my friends who had the same interest, and we were able to support each other to where they're at now. Katie moved to LA first. She actually is the reason why I went to the college that I went to in Chicago, which is called Wheaton College, and I actually did a what do you call it? It was a communications program, but it was a concentration in media. So
Right.
I learned radio. That's where I did my radio show.
Cool.
And I did sound engineering. And there was only 35 people in this concentration. So it was me and a
Wow.
Pro Tools board. And I think there's only 2 girls. It was me and one other. So I was a little spoiled because if I couldn't do something, like all the guys in my class would be like, oh, just do it, you know? But
Yeah, it wasn't a flooded market. You were
right. I was doing something different and against the grain, and I started actually at my city college before I transferred and was the top 10 in the class. And it was just because, and I don't know how this is here in Europe, but in the States back then, at least, it was really like, it was still very dominant, like male dominant, you know, and there was like bets going on how long I would last, you know, and it
I
was
still
just
think
like,
it's pretty male dominated.
yeah, and it was kind of like, all right, well, your song sucks, and mine's better anyway, so whatever. I learned a lot from that, and kind of, you know, I don't know as much as I wish I did. Like, I didn't keep going for it because I think the timing was like poor, and if I'd ask for help, everyone would just do it for me, and I'm very much like hands-on, like don't like do it for me, like let me get in there, let me make mistakes, you know. So
the value of actually knowing your way around Pro Tools and knowing how to actually produce, you know, it must be such a, I mean, if someone puts me with a singer-songwriter and they know what I'm going to go through as a producer, that probably saves so much time.
So
valuable.
valuable.
Just the language we can talk together.
Even simple things like, and I'm getting better at the language as I've been doing this a long time, but even starting out and being like, oh, can you loop that? So I'm saying a simple, you know, a lot of people are like, what's looping? You know, it sounds like you know, but, or, okay, can we do another track and you're going to pan this all the way right? Just like the simplest of things, like you're saying, it's definitely very valuable. You know, it's a basic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something
So how did you? So then, where did you get to?
Where am I here?
What was the? What I want to know is like, what was the kind of that kind of drop in the pond moment? You know, that kind of stone in the pond moment that started everything. Started the butterfly effect.
So I actually had always been writing. I wrote these anonymous poems in high school and would turn them in, and it just became this thing where every week someone would respond to a poem and it'd be like, "Dear Anonymous, thank you for writing this." And no one knew it was me. So it was really cool because...
That's very cool. We were just having a conversation about the value of anonymity and the kind of how strong a marketing process that is, you know, like...
I don't think a lot of people still in my high school don't know, like, a lot of those poems were mine. So it's kind of awesome, you know. I've kept a lot of them, and they're somewhere in my parents' house, but...
You should freak them out one day, and you should, like, get Katie to sing one of them in a song, and then all of them be like, whoa, wait a minute. But then they'd probably be like, Katy Perry wrote all those songs.
She could take them. I don't know if she would, but still, yeah, so actually, to touch on that, you know, she's a worldwide singer, and our friendship is there but apart because she's all over the place. And when you get to that kind of fame, you kind of lose trust in the people you should trust most, I think. And so
it must be hard. It must be super hard.
I personally can't imagine, and I was, you know, part of the ways with it a bit. But to touch on that, she really did. She gave me my first guitar. It was the one who encouraged me to keep writing, took me to my first writer's round.
Yeah.
Mind you, I was there with her, so it was almost like a support team, you know. And I had a car and she didn't. So when we would go to shows that she was playing at when she was a Christian artist, it was like, so Lisa, you want to be my tour manager? And I was yeah. All I had to do was get us there and we were good. So I definitely learned a lot from the background of that. When I moved to LA, started doing Hotel Cafe and getting into more rounds, and still didn't know. It was a hobby. It was really just, that's what it was.
allowing you to like, grow your fascination and love for it, I bet.
Yeah.
Rather than it being like, okay, you got like these skills, you know how to do this, you can do that, okay, I'm going to pay you money.
Right.
And then you're going to like slowly drain the love out of it, you know? 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to do this for that rather than just falling in love.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think I'll say this, I do feel like a lot of the songs I started out with are some of the strongest songs I've written, because I think it was purely my heart.
Yeah.
And
they mean more, don't they?
Yeah,
like,
they do. And now like I write, well, I've chopped it down a bit, but I was writing every day, sometimes twice a day, and you just kind of get burnt out. And it's like when you make the same meal 500 times, you have to get creative with it.
Yeah.
And then you just become a vegetarian all of a sudden. I don't know, So
Hamsters all hamster the best of us.
Are you vegetarian?
Was for a while, just relapsed.
Oh, it's okay. I did 7
relapsed and
years.
ate a crocodile just to flip the script on them. You know what I mean? Because they eat people. So I thought, if I'm going to eat meat again, I'm going to eat something that aggressively eats humans.
I like that idea. I also
Just
love
so I don't have to feel bad.
gator on a stick, New Orleans.
Gator on a stick.
Oh, it's so
Wow.
good.
Damn.
Blackened. Oh, Lord. Ah. Yeah.
Shit.
That's
More reasons to go to New Orleans. Jeez.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or as you
Anyhow.
said it, New Orleans. I kind of like that.
Yes, I know. It's like,
Yeah.
Nolans.
So you did your first. So what was the first thing that you really that you felt like was like, I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna do this for reals.
Well, so I ended up, after being on tour with Katie, we did a Warped Tour together. And so I got, again, to see kind of the background and the process through everybody. And then I kind of got stuck in Nashville. I was supposed to go on tour, or I thought the agreement was I was going to go back on tour. I was going to pick up a tour bus and do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't get credentials, and then it was like, they're not going to take me out anymore. And I remember Katie and I talking, and she was just like, I remember her saying it like this. She might not, but she goes, I just don't know I just don't want you to be my bitch anymore. Now, she wasn't saying that in a negative way. She wasn't saying that in a negative way. She was more saying like,
it's for you.
Yeah, she was like trying to like, as a friend and in love, say, I think you're gonna regret doing this and being behind me, because you are a writer and I know that you are, and why not just give it a go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
she wasn't telling you to go out there and be a performing artist.
No.
She was telling you go out there and write.
Yeah. Well, and just to explore. I mean, she knew that I was a singer, songwriter, whatever. But being an artist was never really on the top of my agenda,
right.
Especially
seeing
like
though?
everything.
Well, this is huge, because I think there's so many people who I've met and who like I talk to regularly, who will ask me like, how do I get this? How do I do that? And all the questions is pointing them towards being an artist, like a pop star, when they're so clearly a songwriter.
Right.
And they don't like doing the things that artists have to do, because some of the things are fucking shit. They don't like doing that. So they don't just want to concentrate on the thing that they're really best at.
Right.
So why was it like you were just like always, I'm gonna be a singer?
For me, I think being friends with Tim and with Katie, and Tim had a band called Bright Life that did really well. I was always the cheerleader, and I kind of got comfortable being the Trust me, I can get on a stage and talk in a microphone and be a great comedian. I love hosting, and I can carry myself very well on a stage. I've always loved the stage. I was like a kid actress. Like, it's nothing to me.
Yeah.
I think getting older and seeing what it's done to my friends, I think kind of pushed me away from it a little bit.
Right.
I also think moving to Nashville, which is where I currently live now, they do weekend warrior stuff. So everything's very family oriented, and I am 36, and a lot of people assume I'm 25, which
I was going to say 24,
I don't
but
mind. Oh, okay, yeah. 24. I don't mind, but I do want a family.
23
eventually.
with those glasses on for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I like it. 2-3, what's up? I'll go back there. It's fine. I had a great time when I was 23. But anyhow, I value a lot of the songwriters in Nashville. Like, a lot of people don't. If you really are into songwriting and even artistry, you should know who's writing this stuff. I think they're kind of in the background, but they're the real champions.
Well, two questions that I wanted to just fire into. Now that we know that you're a badass singer-songwriter, and that you have this kind of pizzazz that you can do things like, you could be a presenter, you could be comedian, you could be a performer, you could be an artist, but you chose to be a singer-songwriter, which is super cool. But you said like you got stuck in Nashville, and this is something that's really interesting because there's and if you've seen the podcast we've done so far, there's a few different nationalities that we've spoken to, and people do get stuck in their main area, like London. You know, you get stuck in like Nashville and LA. You really get stuck into these little pockets of places which are extremely fun. You build your crew of people, but is it really good for your career?
Nashville's great. I say I got stuck in Nashville because I thought I was going to hop on our tour bus and drive it back to LA and go back on tour. And instead, my 3 months has become 10 years in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
So I've been back and forth the whole time. I mean, living there was a lot cheaper than it is now, unfortunately. So flying was nothing. It was dropping, whatever.
Yeah.
My rent was $200, which is like 150 quid.
Shit.
And my travel was 300 round trip. So I was paying less than my rent in LA, way less than rent. So it was like, I can do this. I don't have to have the stresses of LA and the pop world and do Nashville. I think a lot of people, like you said, do get stuck. And what I would say to them is to challenge themselves and saying and recognizing you right now, we don't know what happens in the afterlife. You have one life. This is your life. So what's going to make you happy? And it doesn't mean on the bigger scale, like, oh, if I get a Grammy, I'm going to be happy. That might never happen for you, and you're going to be miserable until that happens. And it's a reality that a lot of people, I don't think, bite and chew and digest.
Yeah.
I think instead it's like, okay, I'm in Nashville. Okay, there are an incredible amount of songwriters here.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy that I'm surrounded by them. It makes me so happy that I can play pop music in a country venue. What is it that's going to make you happy? Really, screw everybody else.
A lot of people think be around loads of songwriters and singer-songwriters and stuff because there's loads of contacts around them.
Fuck that. Yeah. I'm going to say it right now. Like, if people who are actually in the industry, they can see right through it. You know, it's like a cellophane syndrome. Like, a lot of people don't know who I am, what I've done, what contacts I have. I mean, I can go on for days and be like a total douche tool, like a douche canoe, and be like, oh, well, I know so-and-so, I can get you this, right? And then they're going to see me.
I love the word douche canoe, by the way.
Douche canoe. That's a good one. That's what my ex-boyfriend is. Anyways, so, I don't value any of those people. And then it's funny because a lot of those people who looked right through me and then they find out who I am and then they see me, I say that in big quotations, I don't have any respect for them. I'm not going to do anything. So, you know, I think if your concern is fame, money, contacts, then you're in the wrong business. You should probably just be on the industry side. Yeah. And probably figure out your PR situation.
This is one of the main things. Because you said about like a Grammy, like it's like what a small thing to throw all your eggs at, you know, because like the large percentage of people, if you go around and got the numbers and see how many people want a Grammy and how many of them are still unhappy, huge. It's probably in the high 95s. You know, it's like insanely high. Like the amount of people that I knew that I've toured with, that I personally have shared a stage with, probably the most famous artist of all time, and I've seen him be unhappy, and I've seen him not be able to move past a certain part of his life because his entire life he felt like all I needed was that money, all I needed was that record, all I needed was to work with Dre, all I needed was, you know, and to get all those things, and nothing is enough. So it's kind of like you gotta find a side of that.
But I think also at the end of the day too, it's like music is proven to be a healing thing, okay? And it's proven to make people happier. Yeah. Even in their saddest, deepest moments, when they hear that song that is very similar to their situation, you know, it gives them hope. That's why I'm writing music. That's why most people who are successful, even Kanye, even though he's a total, you know, he's kind of like arrogant and into himself, but he just was like, fuck everybody else. I'm going to make this. He wrote a song with Poop Did a Scoop, and I'm sure he enjoyed it. And I'm not saying I know his life, and I don't know if he's happy. Yeah. But I think most of the people who I see that are the success, you still get a vibe, and it's
You can
because
hear they're having fun.
It's genuine.
Yeah.
There's just
people don't
something
understand.
about it.
People don't understand. So with people like Kanye and well, people don't understand just as from a kind of rapper point of view. Is people don't understand how much we write or produce or have done before a record comes out. Mm-hmm. There's probably hundreds of songs that you don't understand. That especially in a producer, like we make 20, 30 songs sometimes a week. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it goes around all these different people. So it's like your babies are going out there. You've got like children. You're like a kind of surrogate dad who's got children all over the world. You've been like spreading that sperm about, you know?
Yeah.
I'm losing the metaphor slightly. But people then see down the line, they hear one song and you've made like this kind of like techno song, and then all these people are like, whoa, bro, like what's up? But it's like, well, you can't keep, like you said, you can't keep making the same fucking meal every day. Mm-hmm. You have to have some variation. You have to start enjoying it again.
Yeah.
The best way to enjoy is to change and to break rules.
Yeah, I mean, just like we're human, we're growing, and like if you're stagnant, I call them swamp people, because in a swamp, I don't know what you call them here, but it's stagnant water, and it just all of a sudden all this green stuff happens, and there's weird bugs and stuff, and I'm like, I want to be a waterfall. I want to go be a waterfall into an ocean. Like, you should always be progressing, no matter what area you're in. I mean, I have people who I've consulted. Thank you. I have people who I've consulted who really wanted to be songwriters, who are now A&R or now PR, because they realized their intention was in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, you know, you might love music and think you're supposed to do music, but your intention is in the wrong place. Like, if you want to make money, then probably don't.
There's loads of ways to go make money.
Yeah, you can do that. If that's your intention, then go do that. And I will tell a story why I feel this way. So when you asked earlier, like, what was like the point that you were like, okay, songwriting?
Yeah.
I still really wanted to do it, and I was working a job at J. Crew as a stylist, clothes stylist, and I was making really good money because I was making really good commissions. I was close to $1 million seller. I was very depressed. I would come home and like cry all the time. I hated waking up. And some people would be like, wow, but that sounds so great. Great, that's probably your passion. It was my talent. I think your talents and your passions are different. I'm very talented in aesthetic and graphic and stuff like that. I am not passionate about it.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about music, and I'm finally able to make a job out of it.
Yeah.
So I was going through this struggle of making money and it just eating me alive, and then being very passionate about
because
that.
lopsided, the balance was off.
Yeah, and I had a friend in LA when I was doing more hotel cafe stuff. He was like, Lisa, why aren't you writing? Why aren't you doing it? And I was like, eh. And so he said, well, I'm coming to Nashville. We're going to write a song. I was like, okay, whatever. So he comes over, and I was still pretty butthurt about, you know, not working with Katie anymore. And it was fun, you know, and not really getting, I now understand what she was saying and why she was saying it. But then I was just like, meh, you know, sad about it. And we wrote this song. It was like a 20-minute song, and it just really came from both of our hearts. And we've been really good friends, so I think that's why we're able to write so quickly. And he tells me, oh, I'm going to put it on my album. I had no idea that getting a song cut is kind of a big deal, you know? And like, he was like, his name's Ernie Halter, and he has done a lot of like college circuit stuff and had an underground name. I didn't even know that. He was just like my friend, you know, like one of my best friends in LA. So write the song, whatever. I end up, because I was on Warped Tour, I went the next year just to hang out with friends at a city nearby. I ended up running into this girl at a barbecue, and her name was Demi Lovato. Nobody knew who Demi Lovato was. I didn't know. My sister's 12 years younger than me, so she knew who she was, and she was on Warped Tour, and I was just like, it's this girl, and we're at a barbecue, and we're having a good time. And somehow we get on, like, talking about, that's what, you know, seagulls just, is that a seagull? Do you have seagulls here? So ADD,
It's
sorry.
a low-flying asshole to me.
It's like, don't poop on me, don't poop on me.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say that so they won't poop on you.
Yeah.
So we start talking about Hotel Cafe, and I was like, oh, I play that. She goes, oh, I love this Ernie Halter. I go, I just wrote on his last album. She goes, oh, I love Franklin and Vermont. I don't know any, it was just a very brief conversation. And then Ernie hits me up because, Lisa, did you hang out with Demi Lovato the other night? And I was like, yeah, actually I did. How do you know her? And he was like, he has a son. He was like, oh, she's on this Disney stuff.
Yeah.
She just tweeted about my album. And I was like, oh, that's so great. Wonderful. So time passes, and I will never forget this. I woke up super depressed. It was the worst, and my phone is blowing up, and I'm like, what is going on? Ernie is like been trying to contact me, and he goes, you need to look at this link. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like, hold on, I think my phone's broken, because it was just like Twitter kept being like ding ding ding.
Yeah.
It was because I was getting all these followers. I don't have many followers on Twitter now.
Yeah.
Like, it just was like crazy intense. And so he shows me this thing, and it was also during the time that there was a Christmas card where you put your face in and the elves dance.
Right.
So I'm watching this video he's sending me, and it's Justin Bieber singing the song that we wrote together in China in front of millions of people. Thousands, let's be honest. Thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. And I go, how did you do that? I did not believe it. I was like, how did you do that? That's so funny. He's like, what do you mean, how did I do what? I go, isn't it like
what
one
is
of those
this
apps?
wizardry?
I was like, it's wait, what? He's like, no, Lisa, I don't know how, but Justin Bieber is singing our song in China on stage. So we found out, and we don't know, it's not confirmed, but what I think is Demi Lovato must have shown to Selena. Selena fell in love with the song. It became Justin's and Selena's love song. So Love Yourself is actually the post of the love song. However, never went on an album. He made a free download, which I'm not stoked about because he still owes us money. His people don't think so whatever.
Yeah, damn.
But that was the moment when it was a money versus intention thing. Because it was a very strange day, because after I got off the phone, I still had to go to my job.
Yeah.
I still was being bossed around by wealthy people who would make appointments and not show up until I was supposed to leave, and then I had to stay later.
Yeah.
And I was a working horse, and there's a saying in Nashville, like, enjoy your number one, but at the end of the day, when you wake up, the next day you're just another swinging dick on Music Row. And it's the truth.
Boom, just another swinging dick on
Music Row. And I think there's some value to that. It's like, enjoy that, that's great, but just remember who you are and where you're at.
But it's a really phenomenal lesson, because it's like never, the amount of times you see people get kind of carried away, and I did this as well. I was playing a character, but the character got carried away. And you think that, if you think like, all I want to do is hang out with these people, rather than all I want to do is rock this crowd, or kind of have that feeling of this song translating to people.
You want that, like, there's nothing like going to a show where you can tell when their heart and intention is right. I mean,
when they're
smaller,
connecting.
there are smaller bands that I love in Nashville that I just go gaga over, like this band Luthi. I'm obsessed with him. He's one of my dear friends, and it's one of those things. In my other friend Maddie Diaz, after a show I tell them, I'm like, I gotta go because I'm fangirling on you so hard, because they're just there with you, and they're there with me, like when we're like drinking beers and whatever, but they're just it's a different phenomenon. There's a vibration that's
I think if you get that right as well, you get a little bit ahead of the conversations on marketing and all that crap. If you are actually going to be like that artist who's doing it for the right reasons and genuinely loves meeting people to engage with the music, how are you ever not going to develop a following? The times where it falters is the moments where you jump ahead and go, why am I not big yet? Why are we not like selling out crowds yet? It's like, if you're not, you're waiting for an agent instead of going and playing, finding the tours to be on, doing it yourself until there's enough people love you that some asshole comes along and wants to make money off you.
Yeah. And I think that's something to say too, like, for songwriters, to be picky and value your writing abilities. Like, don't be mean about it, but like, you can write. There's a lot of shows out there, right? There's all these reality shows for X Factor and The Voice and American Idol, and you could spend all your time chasing songs from them. But if you don't believe in their music, it's not going to go anywhere. If you want to do that, great. Do the best you can, make your money off it. Most of those people are one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the truth. It's very rare that something catches. And sometimes, like, for me as a songwriter, a lot of the songs I wrote 4 years ago are just getting cut now. It's okay to be ahead of your time.
Yeah.
I think it's more
just never throw anything away.
Don't. And if it's really what you want to do, again, it's like the Bieber stuff. I had so many people tweeting me, being like, "Thank you so much," also, or like, "This is me and my girlfriend's song, whatever. Thank you for doing this," or like they took on a song in a not romantical way, even though for me it was about like, in my imagination, what my grandparents were about apart, and for him, like Ernie, it was his girlfriend at the time, now wife, like what it was like to be off the road.
Subjective to everyone who'd connect.
Yeah, and these kids in like Israel, places I'd never known, Australia, like they were just like, thank you, and it's like, what are you thanking me for? Oh wait, this is why I write music. This is what it's about. Okay, and then a couple of people with that song and with performance royalties. As far as the financial part, it's come, and it's come when it needed to. But it's also that whole thing opened so many doors to people being like, "Wow, that's pretty insane that Justin Bieber would sing a song that's like not." Sorry, this sound distracted. That's.
It's fine.
Oh, okay. 15 minutes.
That's really interesting. I'm guessing that there would have been a kick on the kind of business side of it as the person who, whoever was representing you or yourself going forward, being the person who wrote that song. Right.
I think for me it was just definitely, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. It happened so fast. I feel like I wish I'd been more prepared. I didn't believe in myself at the time. Even when it happened, I didn't believe in myself, because Ernie actually ended up doing great from it, and I'm so proud of him and so grateful that he was able to get what he did. Like, he has a family, he has twins, yada yada. So I was happy to make sure that he made money, what he deserved. And for me, it was like I didn't have my website up, I didn't have anything up, so it was a little bit.
It's really hard, because like a lot of the kind of advice you'll get from people who are kind of doing it is like, just go and move on the go. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just keep evolving, and just like don't, because there's two ways of thinking. Is like, get all your shit ready, get your business cards ready, or your EPKs ready, and all your songs that you've written ready, and your website ready, and you could spend so long getting ready that you're not going, you know what I mean? Right. So like, or you don't have anything ready and you just go, and then you kind of miss a lot of it. So it's a kind of fine balance.
There's a definite balance. I think, and I still I struggle with this, because I think too, for anyone who's like interested in a manager or agent or publishing deal, work as hard as you can on your own first. Because then when you finally meet the right person, that person is going to work harder than you can already do for yourself. I find these kids who become lazy, and what they do is they get signed and then they just sit back. And I'm like, no, when you get signed, that's when the real work starts. And it's intense, because you have to recoup. It's a weird feeling. I started working with Capitol Records on a project, and I remember walking to that studio and I was like, oh crap, I have to deliver, And thankfully, I was prepared enough, and even that project, it didn't go towards that. I ended up getting a J-pop song from that, but that was part of preparation. I started making a spreadsheet, and I've had a couple of managers, and they just, at the end of the day, were unable to do what I was already doing for myself. And that's probably
one of the most common things I've ever heard, and I've thought, and most people I know in the game, like, even really high level top 5 selling artists, still a recurring thing. Is like, I'm still the one driving the, and it's almost like you want to grab people and be like, you're always gonna be the one driving. And why do you not want to expect that? Like,
when I consult a lot of people who are trying to make it, I tell them to, I either ask them, I go, okay, so tell me what a business model looks like in the music industry. And they usually go, record label, manager, lawyer, and they put themselves at the bottom. You have to flip that upside down. You are always on the top. And it's you who master your business. So I'm on the top. Okay, well, me on the top right now. I'm setting up all my rights, so I guess I don't really need a booker. Okay, but I'm really interested in sync and licensing. I am going to interview all these people
Yeah.
and see who I want to work
Yeah.
with. Everyone's mindset's always the other way around.
Yeah.
Who's going to work with me? And they're timid, and then you get stuck in a deal that's really bad.
You really draw in the sharks. You don't. It's an industry full of sharks, but you can do some of the due diligence and actually find the people who might be in the field that you work in, or with the people who are relevant to you. You can Google so much about people these days. You can find out who has had controversy on the artists they've looked after. You can find all that, and it's like I get that so many times as well. Is people just like super lazy on that stuff, and that's the stuff you can't be lazy on.
You literally can't. And if you want to be great, you're going to be in a hole. It's very rare that something just works out.
Yeah.
But you have to remember to value yourself. I think it's unfortunate. I think all around the world, people don't realize what valuing yourself is. Like, it's so cliche to be like, well, love yourself. No, genuinely love yourself. Genuinely take yourself on dates. Get to know who you are, so that someone else knows who you
because if you don't find that inner strength of what in the world in general, not just music, but there's a lot of people who want an easy ride, and I've always been of the belief that how dare you expect an easy ride, and if you get that easy ride, you are not strong, and you will never be strong. You only get strong from experiencing being ripped off, from going through these things that great artists go through. And we probably sound really old here.
No,
Old
we sound wise and experienced.
But it's like when you get screwed over a couple times, it genuinely, there's science on it that shows the genes in your brains grow. You actually elevate your mind, and you get stronger, and your kind of trust levels mold. You shouldn't get better. That's the problem. You shouldn't ever get better. But you should know, like we would know in our 30s that when someone talks bullshit to you, it's like, dude, please. It's just bullshit, and you can smell it a million miles
you
away.
taste it, and it's so sour that you never want to go back to it.
Yeah, it's like
again.
a deep sulfur. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I'm even thinking of a deep sulfur right now.
But there's something really funny about like the idea of that you know what I'm gonna do, bro? I'm just gonna write some songs. I'm gonna move to this place. I'm gonna write some songs. I'm gonna get it's gonna pop. And I'm just gonna everything's gonna be great. And it's like, oh, cool. And you were saying about value yourself. I also say value yourself, but also even value yourself as a potential business.
Yes.
And it's not to think business-wise, but it's to think you shouldn't think business-wise, but you better believe that they are thinking business-wise. And if you don't have a business to sell, why would they touch you? And if you don't have a business to sell and they want to touch you, it's for the wrong reasons.
Well, and it should be fun. I think like you said, a business. What is a business? Right now we use websites.
Yeah.
Have fun. Create your own website. There's Wix, and I use Squarespace. It's so easy. Pick your colors. Get on a vision board. Who are you? This is for you. This is supposed to be fun. Most entrepreneurs who are successful who actually enjoy what they do.
It's one of the funnest businesses.
They've had so much fun.
Yeah, and it's one of the funnest businesses to build because you are the product, and you're also the kind of mechanism. You're also the way it gets built. It really should be fun. But I think the worst case scenario of any business is when you're thinking we have this product here, we want to make this amount of money, and it's like if you're a songwriter, just look at things like the dude who wrote All About That Bass. Now that song has had 783 million plays on. Is that one of your friends?
Well, I think Buddha wrote on that. Maybe he produced it, but it was Nashville written.
And so the song has accrued so much money in royalties, but as a writer, he has not. And that's the most shocking thing, because what it used to be maybe 5 years ago, or even a little bit longer, but songwriters were the shit, especially if you were a producer and a songwriter, god damn, that's 50-50, that's 100%, you've got a lot to sell here, And so now it's kind of if you're not the producer, there's 50 gone, and if you're the writer, you got 50, but now you got to do the negotiations of it, and so by the time you actually sell your song, the artist is maybe someone, maybe Katie gets it, and Katie's going to get a damn sweet deal on it, or she's going to get a lot of the royalties on it, and you're actually not going to really get any of the plays on Spotify, any of the plays on YouTube, and that's the places.
Pennies.
Yeah, so you'll get 0.0004. you know, from Spotify, and so like that Meghan Trainor song has so many millions, and the writer who made it has made $7,000. And it's just kind of like when you're thinking about being, you know what I mean? So you better do this for the love.
Yes, you better do it for the love, but I also think it's smart. We just went through this whole thing, and I am a CSAC member, and I'm very grateful, and I appreciate them, and they've done nothing but support me. So I still back up CSAC as much as people have been like, you need to get out of the deal. The people who work for CSAC are still human, and they've still supported me in a very human way that the other companies in America, for me, didn't work. For other people, it did. But you have to find, that's when it's like, don't see through people. You have to find your team and the people who are there. And maybe they're with CSAC, that is currently a lot of people's enemy. But they're the ones who opened so many doors for me and believed in me. And those people don't agree with what happened with the MMA. It's a modernization act. I don't know, Music Modernization Act. And now it's fine and everything's good. But I think there are a lot of songwriters who are like, oh, I'm a songwriter. But you need to do the research. I really, like, just to touch again on, like, the laziness factor. Do you know where your value is? Are you fighting for it? I mean, there's so many politics to it. Don't be stupid. Any business person is going to know the politics of wherever they're at. No matter what. Whether it's stocks, whether it's investments. Your stock and your investment is in the people that are supporting you, because it is a creative thing, and they make. I think it's a conspiracy a little bit that people who are behind the scenes, they know that a lot of us artists are very creative thinking. So, example like Spotify, they add on all these things that we are so burnt out from not only being creative but doing all this other stuff that we're like, oh, I don't know. So it takes it for the lawyers, but for yourself to know what's going where and why is it going there, and if you don't agree with it, you stand up for it. Because like you said, yes, songwriters were a lot more valued before. I know in America it's just like not really. Nashville's very unique, but even in Japan with my cut there, like they put my name on everything, and I was like, this is amazing. I've never felt so validated from a country. And I mean, I don't know.
So many songwriters and even producers who make great stuff. I mean, sometimes it's hard to be harsh on people because everyone's different, and sometimes it's like some kids from real troubled backgrounds and stuff, and I spent a lot of time telling them, like, you know, just make sure you get with maybe the right societies, the free ones, you know, just get a little bit of backing, and also, you know, maybe stop trying to sell your beats in this one area. Like, we're flooded. You're trying to push something in a flooded Ghana. What about finding some artists? Like, the internet we're so connected. Go and find some artists who are coming up and work with them in different...
Get on Instagram, get on SoundCloud. I think, when you feel like you're stuck, move on out. Like, I wanted to start doing sync and licensing. Couldn't find a sync and licensing group that I liked and who wanted to work with me. So I decided, okay, well, what does a sync and licenser do? They talk to music supervisors.
Contact the music supervisor.
Let me just go ahead and talk to a music supervisor. So now I've got like a few other, you know, music supervisors that I just can be like, hey, I've got a pitch for whatever. Be your own boss.
And I tell you what, if I'm music supervising a film and I get like an intelligible email, you know, if I get something where the person is giving me like 10 tracks, you know, and saying, you worked on this and I really loved this, and this is the kind of thing I'm writing to you, you know, like, just here's 10 tracks, and it's actually like, and it's not a dickish like, oh man, I'm so good, like, you know, it's not like one of those. You actually are kind of talking to the person like a human, you know. Then you're gonna, if you do that with 20 of your favorite music supervisors, they're humans. You know what I mean?
And if they like something, it's gonna go somewhere. And if they like you, it's gonna go somewhere. If they don't like you, if they like your music, it'll probably still go somewhere. So
but and also there's a film industry in so many areas around this world. Like, there is a music industry. Like, it's just a case of like, for people in certain areas, it can swallow you up and be like, oh, it's so hard. But I also think another part of the problem is that some of this stuff is pretty hard. I mean, and so you'll have like the industry stuff that you have to do, and you also have to be really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like you have. I mean, and I think there is also that kind of determination of what you are. Really, it's like if you are the type of person who is like, you know what, I don't want to sit emailing people. I don't want to do all that stuff. It's like, okay, so then
hire an admin.
Yeah, and just go touring and just perform. And
I also think a lot of people don't know what they need. There is a book by a postman. I don't remember his first name, but it's called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business. And they do a new series like every 3 years because it's just changing so much. But I advise anybody who is interested and feels stuck to get that book. You can skip around, you can read it all the way through, but it does teach you kind of the positions that are available, what you need, what you don't. Not everybody needs the whole team until you're like way big and you really just don't have time. But like for me, I thought I wanted a manager. I tried that. It didn't really work. And then I was like, oh, I could find my own music supervisors. I just need admin. So now it's like I'm trying to find the right admin so that I'm not having to chase my money. Because that's another thing. It's like knowing what admin is. A lot of people don't understand what that is. And just so everybody knows, admin is someone who collects your money. So you want to find a good one who's literally going to be a champion, who's looking for your money, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of people think that, well, how do I find that? And that's the whole thing about picking up and going, you know, like going out there and actually like, while you're getting better, while you're kind of doing more, while your business is growing gradually, things are going to start popping. Even little bits are going to start popping. Even if someone uses your song or someone sees your performance, eventually, once it's like exponential, and then someone will pop up and be like, "Hey, do you need?" You know, and people, it's crazy for me. Every time in my career that I was like, "Oh man, God, I really need this," and like, first thought is like, "Oh God," you know, it's like such an annoying thought. Then it's like, I'm going to do it anyway, and then it just boom turns up like a few days later. Something happens,
like,
you know.
Visualize and put it out there. I'm going to say this because I feel like we've gone to this like when you're big and famous it's kind of land. If anyone is out there and they're focused so much on the financial, sit down with yourself and put out your budget. I did not realize when I was making all this money that I was probably spending more than I needed to. And I found out that for me to survive with rent and everything, my loans and everything I owed on credit cards and whatever, that I really only needed $2,500. And I looked at that and I had this 9-to-5 job, whatever, and I quit completely and started writing full time. My boyfriend at the time actually had encouraged me to do that because he saw how upset I was and how whatever, so he was the one. And
Stop moping around, get out there and do it.
Well, yeah, he was like, I just want you to be happy and I can't make you happy, and the only person who can make you happy is yourself. So he said, let's just sit down. So I remember we sat down together, and he was like, all right, I'm going to take care of our rent for the month, and if you don't get a write down, then you owe me double rent. And I was like, okay.
That's good.
All right, well, I'll do that, you know. So I did, and I started writing full time, and I started realizing if I only need $2,500, there are so many ways to find $2,500. That's what, $700 a weekish or whatever. So I can house it, I can dog sit, I can hustle, I can do styling on the side. There's so many random jobs out there that you wouldn't imagine that pay $20 to $25 an hour. I still have a regular job. I work as a courier for DNA at a hospital, but I get to be on the phone my whole time. I literally go from lab to lab and I pick up DNA. I found something that was flexible, that was able to pay me an amount while I was waiting for my royalties to come in, because royalties take forever to get to you. So I can't depend on that happening tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And you know, I have a Bieber song. I'm about to have a Jordan Sparks song. I have a Cher Lloyd cut. You would think I'm fucking loaded, but I'm not. So, but again,
it's those things that they grow. Like, it's really good knowing you got something coming as well.
Right.
And then they grow, and you just keep.
Well, and you got to think of it this way. Cool, you get a check 1 month for $25,000. You might have to live on that for the next 3 years. You can't think of it as like, I made it. You know, like that's a teacher's salary.
It's one of the hardest lessons I think I ever learned in my life when I got kind of like deals and everything thrown at me, and like made like, you know, just under $1 million in a few months. The whole idea of this isn't your money. This isn't really your money.
And you're like, but I want to touch it.
And also, like, loads of people have to take bits out of it before you get. And so you start to, like, taking cabs everywhere and, you know, drinking and being the person buying the rounds, like buying people you don't know at the bar rounds.
Right, and when people, they like find out what you've done and they expect that you're going to take care of it. I've definitely gone to a dinner and they left and I was like, hey, were we going to split the bill? And they're like, oh, I thought you were just taking it.
You're rolling in it, what?
And it's like, no, like, don't devalue me.
One of the saddest things is I had a Vans shoe endorsement, and when you would come in my house, they would just be like of the same Vans Rowley shoes, with my favorite skate shoe at the time, and there was just boxes, all of size 9s. All of my friends were size 9. All of them, all of a sudden, and when things were starting to go, I could see how, as a metaphor for how things went, I could see how things were starting to go downhill when all of a sudden there was less and less boxes left. And I remember being super depressed the one day when I came in and there was one box and I hadn't wore any of the shoes.
I'd be bummed
out.
out.
Friends just took that shit. So your friends, when you get in and something pops for you, like, it's about the whole thing you said about knowing yourself. The money doesn't
start
last.
Seeing
the
all these
friends
random
don't
people.
last. You know?
It's like the Bible story of Luke.
I don't know that one.
Oh, well, basically he came into money and then he ran out of money and then all of his friends didn't want him and so he had to stay in a pig slough and then finally he was like, I can't do this, so he went back to his dad who loved him.
And did he have a top 5 on the Billboard?
Nobody was making tons of money and just like squandering it away.
Damn, Luke, I feel your pain.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. So what would you say? What would you say is the number one thing if you had to say, like, if you had a little sit down with yourself, like you said, if you had a sit down with yourself, maybe 15, 20 years ago,
yes.
what would you grab the lapels of your denim jacket back then, because this has come back in fashion. So what would you grab the lapels and say, hey?
Okay, how old was
What would you say?
20.
Not regarding anything else, just music.
Right, of
There'd
course.
be too much to tell.
I was a pretty good kid,
You're gonna meet
actually. Don't do this. No, I think.
Would you say go ahead with this music then?
Yeah, I think when I was 20 years old,
Start
that's
earlier?
how I was in the mindset of being behind somebody, and I think I was really nervous of my age. It was like, I only have 5 more years to do this. And so when that time came, I did pull back a lot.
Right.
And now I'm 36, and I think about like writers that I look up to, like Sia, and artists I look up to, like J-Lo, and they all started 35 to 40, you know, and I think even their songs are better, and I would just tell myself, like, just prepare now. Like, don't quit. Don't worry about anything else.
Yeah.
I still do wish I'd gotten more into the engineering and the production. There's still time for me. I still say 30 is the new 0, so I'm only 6 years old.
Someone told me, like, scientifically proven now that from our parents' generation, your and our parents' generation, we are actually 25 compared to them now. So us at like 35, 36 is like we're actually 25, 26, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I feel it.
That's like, I just gave you 10 years. Like, someone did it to me the other day. I'm like, oh, damn, you just gave me 10 years. Like.
But I think it's true.
Rob did it. It was Rob
my
did it.
age, I was like 12 years old, and my parents were 36, you know? So I totally, you know, they had more responsibilities. I think my sister had just been born, so now they've got 2 kids that are 12 years apart. It's been an interesting dynamic ever since, but I love her.
So you would say get going, and like it's a
Don't
long game.
It's a long game. Don't stop. Know who you are, and just.
Damn, this is starting to sound like a chorus.
Probably.
It's a long game. Don't stop. Know who you are. I'm hearing a beat.
Don't steal that. Just kidding. That's copywritten. Like if you want to be a DJ, be a DJ. If you want to write R&B stuff, do that. Just know that you are constantly going to evolve. Don't ever feel like you are going to be stuck and you have to be in this one kind of aura, you know, like you're not the same that you were when you were 5, so how is that going to change any, how is it supposed to stay the same with your music? You know, like if you think about what artistry really is, it's a show. So I mean, a lot of the people I write with, I ask them what their archetype is, and they look at me like, what? And I'm like, well, you know, Taylor Swift is the hopeless romantic who's now kind of like the don't mess around with me, but she's evolved, and that's what her show is about, and that's why people go to her shows. Britney Spears is circus.
What is the theatrical element of your life that you want to capture in every
You're
song?
selling a show. If you're going to be an artist, you're selling a show of a certain archetype that people may or may not enjoy. And who cares?
And that's really important for songwriters to understand that artists are selling a show, so write all the variables of different things you might go through. Like, don't always just keep writing that love song, write the breakup song. Don't just write the song about like being alone, write the song about you're not having a father or mother figure. Like, write the tricky songs.
But don't push yourself. If you're in the position of a broken heart, write it till you all of a sudden write the happiest song. Don't like
write yourself out.
You have to live through it, because there are even some Nashville writers who are known for their ballads and they've done really well. And it's like David Foster. Okay, like if you don't know who David Foster is, please look him up. He's written like everything. My Heart Will Go On, like, and I mean Whitney Houston, all these amazing songs. His daughter Amy Foster, dear friend, love her. Hope she's watching this. But she's dope, and her best friend is Michael Bublé, and they were just really good friends. And she's a sci-fi writer, and she wrote Home. You know what I mean? Like it's where you're at. Don't try to fight where you're at. Just be who you are where you're at, and it'll come.
Damn.
Right?
Damn, that is some pretty strong advice from Lisa Goe.
It's hard though, and don't ever think it's easy. Don't try to go over it. Don't try to go under it. You have to go through it.
And embrace that grind. Embrace that motherfucking grind.
So if you're sad, don't kill yourself.
You have
Just go through it.
You have been a revelation today for many watching. It's been a real good chat.
I hope so. I feel like I can literally talk forever.
Well, let's go continue talking. We'll probably film some more of that at this little thing we're going to go to. And maybe that'll be another episode. But we'll catch y'all on the flip. Music Hacker. See you later.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Peace out. Peace.